Critics say that Dijon's Grammy-nominated music was the future of R&B. I just don't get it. I thought his performance on SNL last night sucked.
Lighten up, Francis.
We're going to get deeper into this, and if you're a Dijon fan, prove me wrong in the comments. Hey, welcome back to the Long Island Sound podcast. Well, his SNL debut felt less like a spectacular vision of soul and more like watching a beautiful machine break down in real time. I'm talking, of course, about Djon, the musical guest on the December 6th episode hosted by the wonderful Melissa McCarthy. And I need to start by giving some credit where it's due. Hey, the hype machine surrounding this man is deserved if you're judging him purely by industry recognition. He had a monumental year. His album Baby was released in August of 2025, named for his son, and was met with universal acclaim. We're talking a 94 out of 100 on Metacritic. By the way, if you like what we're doing here, tap the like button and please subscribe and comment. I answer everybody's comment. When my producer flagged this for me, they emphasized that Paste Magazine gave Baby a perfect 10 out of 10 review, declaring that Dijon is R&B's past, present, and future. And Pitchfork gave him a 9.0 out of 10, describing the album as a spectacular new vision of soul, pop, and R&B, even drawing parallels to absolute legends like D'Angelo, Frank Ocean, and Prince. I can't believe that. And that's the like column, right? He's clearly a genius producer, too. The industry agrees, awarding him with multiple nominations for the 2026 Grammy Awards, including Producer of the Year for Non-Classical and Album of the Year for his work on Justin Bieber's album Swag. He also contributed to Bon Iver's album Sable Fable. That level of industry recognition is rare for an artist with a solo career, signaling a major shift on how the industry values versatile creators. To be honest, when he stepped onto the SNL stage, his national television debut, mind you, he had this massive band with heavy hitters like Justin Vernon and performed Higher, followed by a medley of Baby and Another Baby. The recap I saw later glowingly described the performance as having an incredible, soulful, cinematic vibe with perfect lighting, creating an intimate, dreamlike atmosphere. They called it immersive, raw, and it left you breathless. You're going to have to convince me of that. Based on what I heard and what others were saying in real time, this is the dislike column, and the critics inadvertently explain exactly why it failed to land for the general public, guys like me. Maybe I'm too old. I don't know. The reason the critics love him was the experimental nature of his work. It's exactly what made it such a really confusing television moment. Flood magazine praised him for blending R&B with glitchier, more psychedelic versions of those sonic textures in order to evoke a fractured, internet-like aesthetic that's often mesmerizing. Honestly, I was a little confused about him leaning over to touch whatever electronics was to adjust his voice. I'm not a big fan of changing your vocals on the fly with that. Why didn't you have somebody else do that? It just didn't make sense to me. Okay, Rolling Stone noted that the record is best described by the all-encompassing word experimental. I think this experiment failed, to say the least. They also said fragments of sounds and jut out like beams of light piercing through the pitch black of night. I don't know. It just didn't strike me. If that sounds exhausting, it's because it is. He's intentionally trying to push the boundaries of production and pop, as one reviewer put it. Hey, you know what? I think there's a difference between what you can do in the studio and what you do in a live performance. And to be honest with you, it just didn't work for me. Hey, if you disagree, let me know in the comments. And I'm all about music discovery, but I don't know. This just didn't do it for me. Paste also mentions that he goes as far as manipulating his voice into an instrument, sampling himself over and over until the phrasings are really unrecognizable. Sometimes you can take technology a little too far. When you take that complicated, heavy layered, analog meets digital aesthetic and put it on live national TV. It just doesn't sound right. It's not a spectacular new vision of soul. It sounded kind of messy. I noticed comments from people watching live online, with one viewer lamenting, and this is capitalized, I did not care for Dijon one bit. And another flatly stated that the musical guest gave me a headache the rest of the day. Wow. I thought I was bad. So while he's collaborating with Justin Bieber and appearing on a Paul Thomas Anderson film, the casual audience watching on Saturday Night Live was subjected to a dissertation on fragmented aesthetics rather than a hit song. You know, you really got to play to the audience and what they're going to enjoy. Hey, I agree with being experimental, but I think he took this experiment too far. You know what? He is a critical success because he's so fierily experimental, and I'm all for trying experiments. But that experimental nature is exactly why he alienated viewers who expected a simple, high-impact SNL debut. He may be R&B's future, but I'm perfectly happy hanging out in the R&B's present, where the singer actually wants the phrasing to be recognizable. It was unforgettable, sure, but sometimes something is unforgettable because you need aspirin afterwards. Hey, we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in again. Please comment and share. And as I say, I'm not always this cynical old man. As I say, be generous with your joy, keep your spirits high, and let the music take you on a journey. Until next time, be well.